We are about to go into the holiday season, so all of us are a little more casual than usual. As you can see here, check out my Macromedia Cold Fusion quarter zip. That's right, folks. I am the peak of fashion in 2024, going into 25. So today, we've got a little bit of a special session. We're not talking about anything in particular that's new. We're going to recap a little bit about what we talked about in the past, and then we're going to take questions from folks if you have them. So just to start off, I just wanted to talk about some of the webinars that we've had, and we've had a lot of them. This is a really, really intense couple weeks here that we've had. All of the recordings are listed on the left there under webinar recordings. They're also listed in a CFML Slack post, so you can hit them there. You can click here and have them previewed on a browser if you want that. But just wanted to kind of go over some of the things that we did talk about in case you missed some of them and see if you're interested in some of those. So in security and stability in Cold Fusion, Parvati and Atul actually dove in on a lot of the things that we've updated. Not specific, like it wasn't a very specific thing, it wasn't a feature. It was an overarching talk about what we do when it comes to security, how we handle it, as well as some of the individual updates that were done to improve security as well as stability. So things like bug fixes, etc., and some of the new security features that were added at a high level. Then we talked about the VS Code plugin changes. If you have not used our VS Code extension in a while because maybe you didn't like it or you felt it was buggy or something like that, give it a try, please. Go to the beta site, grab the V6, install it, and try it out. Everyone that has done that has been just over the moon at how much better it runs, like how stable it is, like how useful it is. It really, really, we've made a really, really big impact on a lot of the things that you guys were complaining about before, about how things were just not working the way you wanted them to. They do now. So please go give it a try. We're trying to make this the best IDE for programming in Cold Fusion that's available, and I think we're getting there. I mean, it is really, really good now. We also had Ashu talk about smart language additions in Cold Fusion. This was a huge talk, really, really technical, lots and lots and lots of code samples, very detailed. This is one that you really kind of have to watch a few times because Ashu, he didn't hold back. He really dove deep into it. That was a really great one also for using as a reference as you're using CF to build out your new stuff. That's going to be a really good reference for folks because he does actually show how to use some of the things in specific ways. Oh, let me add 1 second. Sorry. Let me pull Bagish. Oh, and Shiva. Sorry. Just dropping people in as presenters if they want to talk as well. So after the smart language additions, we had Satyam talk about performance enhancements. Now, you haven't really heard us talk about performance in a while, like CF23. We didn't really do much to make the engine that much faster. We just added features in that one. We heard you loud and clear after that you wanted to make sure that Cold Fusion was performant, that it was at least at parity with some of the other engines out there, and we've done it. So we've had huge performance increases, sometimes so high that we had to go back and double check that we really had made them that fast, like tiers and tiers of improvements on things. Everything from Q of Q to spreadsheets to compilation times have gotten so much faster than they were. So that's a really good talk. If performance is your thing and you want to build really, really fast applications, drop in on that one. Now, CF charts, I love CF. I love charts. I love visualizations. This was a really great talk, and we've added a lot of amazing new features into our built-in charting. Now, some of you use charts on your own, and that's totally cool. We support that, right? Like Cold Fusion is flexible. It's one of our superpowers. But a lot of you like to have it built in. You don't necessarily want to maintain an external library or anything like that. You actually want to have it just kind of there, server-side rendered, all of that good stuff. And so we made it so that you can do that and still have really, really beautiful, really, really feature-rich charts. generated right out of the engine without any additional things that you need to add in. So that was Yukti. She talked about that. Spreadsheets and CSV processing. Nickel dove very deep into this one. This one was a long talk. I think Nickel may have gone an hour and a half or something like that on it, and for good reason. There was a lot to talk about in that talk. This is a really, really big addition to our spreadsheets and CSV processing stuff. I don't know about you, but I have built so many like regex powered CSV import and export things. It boggles the mind how many times I've done that. And now it's just built in. You don't have to play that game anymore. We can just read and write CSVs in a really powerful way with tons and tons and tons of parameters you can pass in to customize the way that it works for your particular use case and workflows. And then Shiva talked about MS Graph, but also OAuth additions that we're doing in CF25. Again, really, really important thing. As you may or may not know, Microsoft is going fully into the MS Graph ecosystem for doing things like auth into all of their systems. If you work with Office 365, Exchange, any of those things, this is critical. You're not going to be able to use the old ways of authenticating anymore in a few years, and maybe even sooner than that. They've been a little coy with when they're actually dropping support for things outside of MS Graph, but it's coming, and we wanted to get ahead of the curve there and make sure that before that happens, we had it built in. Not only authentication, though, is what we're doing. We're actually also doing things like user management, because MS Graph is a really, really highly, feature-rich ecosystem. And so we added a few things that we thought would be useful. We want to add more. We want to know what you're using it for currently, what you'd like to use it for. So let us know, and we'd love to add more and more features. There's just so many. We couldn't add them all at once. But we want to know which ones you actually want us to add. So please give us feedback on that. We'd love to hear it. Myself, Charlie, the whole team wants to know about that. So with that, we come to container enhancements. That's something that happened yesterday. No, there's no bullet points or anything like that. I'm just talking, Charlie. I'm just going over. Yeah. It's just me. I don't have a slide deck for today. We're going a little chill today. Just kind of going over the recordings. I mean, most of the people here have already been through the recordings, but it's mostly for people that come back in later. So in container enhancements, we talked a lot about like security as well as setup, ease of setup. So things like config, things like secrets. And one thing that came up that we're looking into, and I know Charlie's itching to talk about this, was that Charlie actually told me that one of the things that we were talking about there was no longer the case, and that's that the swarm requirement had been removed at some point. So we're double checking that. I think he's correct. I think maybe at some point the requirements for that were removed. And so it just makes it easier to use the tooling. But before we go out and change the docs and everything, we just want to double check that there aren't any like deep-seated things that we're doing that require the swarms. I don't think there are, but that's something to keep in mind. It might be even easier to use this new tooling inside of the containers for doing container management, as well as like passing authentication and secrets and stuff. Right. Yeah. That, like Charlie's actually tested it quite a bit. He's found that the swarm requirements are no longer needed there, which is awesome. But before we like fully announce it and do all this stuff, we just want to, dot our T's and cross our I's, as it were. And that comes to this webinar, which you're in currently or watching on replay. And so today, I just did the recap. And now we're kind of here to take any questions that you may have either missed putting into the individual seminars that you attended, or maybe you've watched them on replay and now you're like, oh, but wait a minute, what about this thing? So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. mean, we may have just covered everything, and I may be here drinking my coffee with eggnog in it for an hour, just chatting with you all. Or you may have some stuff that you want us to cover. We've got some engineers here that are available to answer some questions. So let her rip. And you can just put them into the chat if you want. You don't have to use the Q&A pod. I think there's enough of us to cover them. Plus, we're not doing an actual talk, so it's not like I'm paying attention to something else. And if people don't start putting in questions, I'm going to start doing karaoke, and nobody wants that. I'm kidding. I wouldn't. I wouldn't subject you all to that. Like, that's where the participant list just goes burp. I should also say we do have engineers here on the call. I know they're hiding; their videos aren't up. But if anyone else from the team wants to come on and show your pretty faces and have any comments, maybe about the new build or any news that you want to share about some of the new cool stuff that's coming up, please be my guest. I made the host video section nice and wide to have a bunch of us up here and not just me in my extremely fashionable, like 35-year-old hoodie. No, not hoodie. Sorry, quarter zip. Yeah, that's a good point, Charlie. So Charlie mentioned on performance, and a big improvement has been in the startup itself. That is a really big deal, and a common complaint in the past that we've had, specifically like standalone. Definitely, it's important, but I think in containers is where that really makes a big difference, right? When people are propping containers, doing disposable containers, using CI/CD to throw containers up and down, like having a long startup is really not good. And that was a really big target of our team, was to make sure that if you're using us in containers, which according to our downloads of our Docker images, a whole heck of a lot of you are using us in containers. It's actually a little bit wild how many downloads we have of CF in containers. So either somewhere there's a whole island of people just doing constant downloads, or a heck of a lot of you are leveraging that capability of Cold Fusion. So it's just going to make it even more powerful. And that's a really good point too. Charlie just mentioned that yesterday in the container talk, was that that the images, they don't restart multiple times during startup, even if you have some configurations. I believe there was like one, maybe two places where they still have a restart, but a lot of those were removed, which again it makes it so that things are faster, makes it so that it's a little more efficient, more effective. I'm actually curious to see. I haven't tried this yet, but one of the things that I ran into in using containers on GCP was that inside of the serverless, stateless Google Cloud Platform context, which is, oh gosh, what's it called? I forget the name of the particular thing. Cloud Run. So inside of Cloud Run, traditionally you've had to put a little bit more memory for it to come up in time for everything to line up. Otherwise, you could have errors with startup. You've had to just put a little bit more in there. I'm actually wondering if that's no longer the case, which would actually be a great savings. Like you could drop it down. I was putting in like 4 or 5 gigs of RAM, and I'm wondering if you could drop it back down to like 2 or even 3, and still have it start up and run without any issues. Now with the new version, I'll have to actually do that and bring them in. Oh yeah, and Charlie, did you I did want to mention also in the beta links, there's a link to CF Compose, which is a repo that Charlie made that has a lot of really interesting resources for you that are container related. I actually didn't I didn't update that since yesterday, but it's useful that I left it in there because that was actually a really useful link, as well as some CF Docker documentation that I left in there. Looks like I missed cleaning that up, but hey, it's useful. There you go. By the way, Nimit, we can hear your mic if you didn't mean to be
Okay.
chatting. I mean, unless you want to chat, which feel free to jump in here.
No, I just wanted to ask the 5 gig that you mentioned. I think it seems pretty high
Yes.
because, yeah, because when we start CF on the VM, it hardly takes around 2 to 300 MB. It shoots up to 800 MB and then comes down back to 200 MB.
Yeah.
So,
So I can show you at some point with like with 23. I think I still have it propped into Cloud Run. It was very specific to just one place. If I was using it in Kubernetes, they have a version of Kubernetes. I didn't have that limitation. But when I use Cloud Run and I tried to use the minimum requirement level of memory, what would happen is every, I don't know, maybe like 25% of the time, it would fail, and the way that it would fail seemed to indicate that parts of the engine had not started yet, and it was trying to hit it while it was still starting up. The moment I added more memory, it worked every single time. Um,
okay.
but again, very specific. I had not seen this in any of the Azure container stuff. I hadn't seen it on Lightsail. I hadn't seen it in regular Kubernetes anywhere. It was specific to Cloud Run and the way that Cloud Run does its, because it kind of creates almost like a cached image of CF and then props that immediately or tries to prop it into memory as needed, right? So it's
Right.
designed as something that could scale and grow automatically and bring up new containers as needed based on the numbers of connections. So that might be it might be a Google architecture thing and not necessarily a Cold Fusion architecture thing. But again, I'm curious to see if our improvements in speed have actually reduced that requirement. And you can try it. Like, I mean, if you have a Google account that you could just drop a container into, I didn't have any code in it. That's literally the raw, just Docker of Cold Fusion, just tossed into it and started without any code whatsoever. So it's not like the things I was trying to start were big either. Um,
Okay. I'll
yeah,
get it checked and
yeah,
see what the problem is. Yeah.
yeah. And again, I think we may have fixed it with this one. I mean, the performance increases have been so huge that it may not be an issue anymore with 25. Who knows? That would be great. Get more people using Cloud Run because Cloud Run's a really neat tool. That's a really fun tool. It's a little bit of a architecture exercise, right? Because it's stateless, right?
Yeah.
So it's stateless, serverless, completely disposable. It will dispose of your container the moment it thinks you don't need it anymore, which makes running applications in it kind of weird, but also super cool because you can do things like it's essentially a Lambda, but it's a
Right.
Lambda with a full application if you need it, which is pretty darn cool. And you can use external, like, you could use something like Redis or something to keep like session state for someone. I think Aaron, the architect over there that was kind of helping me with stuff. I think he built out a system where he had like an attached DB. He had like Firestore, and then he had an attached Redis, and he was just able to build out a stateless app using it. That was super performant, and then just goes poof when you don't need it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I feel like Google had some advantage because they started little late, and
Yeah.
AWS, they realized it's not a very good solution where they were asking users to upload the source code or the compiled jar
Mhm.
files, and then they were providing the platform or the runtime. So since we have the
Agreed.
container, we can directly ask users to upload the container with all the dependencies in. So these guys have also added that functionality later. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have some friends that are still using, like, the companies that they work for are still using Lambdas to make like little like, micro front ends and little mini Lambda things, and they're cool. But I also feel like the limitations that Lambda has really start to pile up the moment your architecture gets complicated and complex.
right.
Whereas if you have containers, I feel like you have a little more flexibility in it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they run into the same problems as they scale as well. I'm not sure. But let's see. Charlie says, awesome CF Compose. Yes, cool. Yeah, mentioned that. Right on. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? I'm very tempted to just start cooking pancakes for you guys. I'll do it, man. I'm crazy. Just bring my pancake, my griddle here into my office and plug it in. Probably short out my UPS doing that. Let's see. Cool. Well, it sounds like we may have covered every question that anybody ever had about Cold Fusion, which is awesome. Yes, yeah. So Charlie mentioned that currently, to get the full information on stuff, there's multiple documents that you have to look through, and that's true. Yeah, like we've got the alpha docs, both 1 and 2, and then beta 1, and potentially beta 2 is coming in a few weeks, which will probably have even more stuff in there. So that's something I think we'll have to take a look at, combining and forming into one document. Maybe it's going to be a big doc for some of the stuff. I mean, I think one of the documents is 52 pages already. I think the language doc is 52 pages, which is kind of awesome, but also a lot. So everyone has great plans for the holidays. Since no one's asking questions about CF, let's talk about what you're doing for the holidays. Drinking eggnog, opening gifts, going to space, as one does. Getting Macromedia Cold Fusion quarter zips off of eBay. Yeah, I guess I have a bit of an announcement which I made previously, but I could make it here since we're all just kind of hanging out. Get this on record. So there will be a new Cold Fusion meetup that will be starting up in January. It's going to be on the 4th Tuesday of every month. Currently, it's in person in Sacramento, which probably doesn't help a whole lot of you, but we have sponsorship from one of our third-party partners that will allow us to stream live to both LinkedIn as well as YouTube, and then record it and bring it over to a YouTube channel that I'll set up for that particular meetup. So something to kind of keep in mind if you're looking for another meetup to attend. I'll be starting off in January with a talk on some of the new spreadsheet and CSV processing tools that we're going to be launching with. And then from there, we'll see. We'll get people that will be local to Sacramento talking, as well as remote people that will be talking from all over the world. So it should be a fun, super hybridized and flexible Cold Fusion meetup. So that's new and hopefully exciting. It's exciting to me. I'm excited. It's also at a brewery, so extra excited. I cannot believe Monty doesn't have a question for me. Oh, Charlie, yes, thank you. So Charlie says about talking about the new contest in the beta. Yes, thank you, Charlie. Big deal. So this, as you may or may not know, we've had these contests for doing either the most ERs or the best bugs reported every week, and there's been a focus every week. We are doing a little bit of a special thing. We're going for 2 weeks in a row, and we're going to be talking about, oh my goodness, what were we talking about? I believe charting and shoot, what was the other one? I should know this. What was the other one? Help me out, Charlie. My brain is I of course remember the charting one because spreadsheets. I think spreadsheets and charting. Is that right? Hold on. I should have this in my brain already. No, of course I don't have it listed there. If Sharvy was here, oh, thank you. Yeah. VS Code. Thank you. Spreadsheets, Docker, and DevOps. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, so it's a big deal. I don't know if you all know, the prize is a $100 gift card for the winner of each thing, and this time there will be 2 winners. So if you want to focus on a particular thing, you might be the person who wins that. So that would be very awesome. Monty asks, yes, the winners should have been announced already. So we've already, I believe, have had two winners, I think, or there's no, I'm sorry. I think one winner is going to be announced. Oh, there hasn't been announced. Okay. I'll fix that. Let me let Sharvy know to announce the winners publicly so that people know. Monty asked, that's a nice picture of my background next to a cat looking one. Did I paint it myself? Yes. So I paint. Show you that one. So this is a painting of a friend of mine called Ryan on the Beach, and it was taken by his partner about 20 years ago, and sadly his partner has passed away. So I painted it for him, sort of as a remembrance and a gift for Christmas this year. So that won't be back there come January anymore because I'll be giving it away. Oh yeah. No, you know it. Did you see what's on them? Oh yeah. It's oh shoot. It's stormtroopers and Darth Vader wearing Santa hats. Yes. My favorite. It's freezing cold in my house. For some reason, I don't know why my heater's not working. So that I'm like bundled up in my fluffiest shorts and my fluffiest quarter zip. So yes, one of my very, very favorite pairs of fluffy pants. I wear these out. They actually have pockets, if you could believe that. They're like really fuzzy fleece and they have pockets. And so, yeah, I rock these all over town. People love them. Yeah. I mean, fair. Yeah, it's a California thing. What can I say? Surprisingly cold out here. Like, I don't even know what the temp is right now, but it's 44 degrees, which is kind of chilly. It's 44 and very cloudy. kind of threatening to. It looks like it's threatening to rain actually here, but yeah, it's been kind of wet and miserable the last 2 days. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little sad. The story is very sad, unfortunately. But it was such a beautiful photograph that his partner had taken that I felt like it sort of deserved a little bit of painting love. I also painted my cat. who is sadly also not around anymore. But he was 17 when he passed away, something like that, 18. So he was a little cat. Lived a good life of causing me grief and terror constantly. He was a giant cat, part Maine Coon. Dude weighed like 16 pounds, 17 pounds, pure muscle. Yeah, when he jumped on your chest in the morning, you definitely felt it. It's like, good morning, wham! It's like dropping a sack of rice on your chest at 6 a.m. Good times. Let's see. All right. Awesome. Well, kind of seeming like there's not a lot of questions. So yeah, I don't want to keep these engineering folks longer than we need to. It's very, very late where they're at, and they're out here spending their personal time to come into our thing in the middle of the night for them. So I'm just going to give us another, let's say, 8 minutes. And if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and let these guys go. I'll hang around till 10 a.m. Pacific, and I'll be here to chat for a while. But yeah. Well, thanks, Charlie. Yeah, we really tried to make sure we raised the bar on engagement. We loved being able to do all of these talks for all of you. They're going to be a really great resource, I think, moving forward when CF25 drops. They're going to be a place where people go to get ideas, to look at references, all of that. I think it's going to be very useful. Like I plan on, when we sell a copy of CF, or I guess rent a copy, whatever, subscribe. I'm going to send people to these videos so that they get a sense of like, well, what are all the, like, why am I getting CF25? Like, here's why. Here's all the cool new stuff that you get with CF25, and explanations on what to do with it, code samples, all that. Like, that was really important for us to do this time, just because we added so much. And some of it wasn't really obvious. Some of it was a little bit hidden. The performance stuff, the security and stability stuff, definitely was a little behind the scenes. If you didn't know about it, it would take a little bit of digging to find out. We wanted to, expose that and let people know that we really are working hard on a lot of that. That's been a major focus for us in this release, to just make sure that you're getting the best possible product that you can. Who's going to CF East? CF Summit East? I know Charlie's going to be there. Further discussion of what's to come regarding the change to subscription model. What did you want to know, Charlie? I think we could get some answers, like pricing, or what's your question about regarding subscriptions? Yeah, pricing is still being approved internally. Yay! The joys of joys of working for an enormous corporation. Everything takes 15 different committees to sign off on. So that probably won't get announced until very close to go to market. But you know, it'll be, I think, in terms of value for money, ROI, if it's around the range that I think it's going to be, I think a lot of people will be very happy. And just having the ongoing ability to get all the new versions and stuff without having to like do a repurchase or do whatever, I think is just going to be awesome. People are going to love that. Yeah, Jake. Yeah, it's in Reston again. It's going to be at the same location again. We had a great time. Caresoft really took great care of us. I love the location. The way it was set up had this amazing hallway where people just organically ran into each other. And I just constantly saw tons and tons and tons of people just talking all over it. So we wanted to do it there again, and they were happy to host us. So yeah, you liked it too? Excellent. Okay. I love to hear that. Yeah, we had really good feedback from folks. Just getting in was like the only sort of like kind of fluffy thing where, you had to get someone to take you up the elevators. But honestly, like, I don't really think anyone had too much of a problem. I think I got stuck once. But that was it. Like, I don't think any actual any attendees got stuck down. I just had to go get something out of my car at a funky hour. And then it took me a few minutes to get back up. That was it. So yeah, food was great. AV was great. I love the spaces that they had available to us. We actually didn't even use as much of the spaces as they gave us. Like, there's more room for more stuff. So I'm excited to see what we do this year. Yeah, Charlie, I don't. Could you do me a favor, Charlie? Could you email that question to Kishore directly? Because I've had that come up a couple times, and I don't have a direct answer, and I haven't heard it yet. So I would love if you could, when it comes from the community, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a priority to answer it, because definitely people have been asking me that same question. The question is, what happens to people who pay for maintenance now for CF23 perpetual? Would they get, how is that going to work with the sub? Like, are they going to get rolled into it or what? I don't have that answer. Currently, I don't know. Oh, okay. Let me add Mukesh to be presenter. So yeah, if you could, there's Ashu also. If you wouldn't mind just emailing that. Yeah. It's the thing is, what's important is that those people are wondering right now, right? And it's going to be a few months before it actually releases. So that's kind of a big deal. Yes, the proximity to Dulles was great if you landed there. I unfortunately didn't because I had other things. So I actually ended up driving all the way from Ronald Reagan, which was less less convenient for me. But that was my own fault. I had to pick someone up in DC before getting over to Reston. So, but yes, this year definitely flying into Dulles. Another question on the sub model. The subscription model will still include both enterprise and standard. I believe so. I believe that both will still be offered. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't heard otherwise. But again, yeah, that probably will be announced closer to GTM. But as far as I know, we're still offering both. Now, down the road, will we continue to do that? I don't know. The two versions are getting closer and closer to each other. So I'm not sure. But yeah, that is a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so, unfortunately, I don't have the answer to that, Charlie. I'm not really sure. I wish Kishore was here to answer some of that, but yeah, I should have dragged them in here. But this is more engineering engineering beta than that. So I didn't expect quite to get the business oriented subscription questions necessarily. But it is a good question to ask as well. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Just letting you know that I unfortunately don't have all the answers quite yet, but it's good to have them out and asked, Charlie. So I do appreciate it. Oh, no problem. Yeah, there's no derailing. I think the questions that we were going to get asked that were technical were answered. So and I don't see too many more coming in. So yeah, I don't mind a little derail. Unless we're discussing something. It's good. We're all in love. We're so lost without you. Oh no. Oh, don't start singing, Mark. Stop. No karaoke. Oh yeah, Charlie. No, I'm of the generation. I definitely got that. Oh goodness, yeah. That's a good question, Monty. Yeah, I think yes. And actually, do I have Bagish here? Yeah, I do have Bagish. I'm going to put Bagish on the spot here. So Bagish is the senior engineering manager, like of multiple products. So Bagish handles Cold Fusion as well as Captivate. And so Monty asks, with the subscription model, Sharvi indicated that there will be more frequent releases, which is true. That our goal is to release more often, put updates out there that come not just once every year and a half or once every year, but more often, get you stuff kind of mid-year as well. But Monty asks, does that mean that there will be more frequent releases in the pre-release as well? Like, will we be doing pre-release stuff inside of the time? So like, if there's a new feature coming, will there be a pre-release thing? Bagish, how would you like to answer that one? I'm gonna drop Bagish on the spot here.
No worries, Mark. Hope you are able to hear me.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, good. No, thanks for the question. We haven't flushed out all the details yet, but like Captivate had a lot of frequent releases. We do pre-release for every release. We typically give it 2 weeks time because the releases are more frequent. So we try to do a 1 build or 2 build in that. So we'll try to see if that works for here as well. And obviously we need all the feedback from Charlie, Monty, and everybody. One thing which I think we have in our mind that typically any other desktop product which we have, it's okay to upgrade faster, but in case of server, how frequently people would like to update. There's another feedback which we like to get from the community, and that will help us decide. But yes, we'll do pre-releases.
Yeah, and that's a really good point too, is when it's Photoshop, you might bring it up and be like, okay, cool, yeah, like they fixed something with a lasso, right? Not a big deal. When it's a server product that you're running in production that your multi-million-dollar company depends on, like, are you just going to be like dropping updates constantly into it? Maybe. I think the more frequent the release, the smaller the individual delta is between each server edition, basically, whatever you want to call it, dot edition. And so hopefully that will result in a little more stability across updates. But yeah, it's definitely a thing where people like the trope is, oh, you install the new version on update 1, right? That's kind of what people seem to tend to do. And we kind of want to get away from that. Like, we want to make sure that when we drop an update, you just use it, right? Yeah. So, pre-releases will be super important. The more people we get using the pre-release stuff, the more we'll know edge case bugs and things like that that get introduced into things. And I think we're still, we're not going only to little mini updates all the time. I think we're still going to have some of the more premium star releases that put in like big changes, big differences, big updates. So we want to kind of mix it up. We want to give you guys more and more features and updates and improvements, but we also want to like get those big hits in, make sure that you're excited about, oh, the new year is here, new summit is here. What are they going to announce? What are they adding? What's the cool big new thing? Like we want to keep doing that because I mean, otherwise I'm out of a job. I can't go back. I
think other thing which this subscription model will help people basically, so as long as you're in the subscription, you get every update. So you don't have to bother about, I was in 21, 23 games, and then 25 is coming. Each time I had to buy that perpetual license to upgrade, and obviously we have different licensing to solve that problem. But once you're in subscription, so everything gets released in that period. You own that period, update.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. I think the movement of like 23 to 25 or 21 to 23, that's a big delta, right? Like if you've got the new version, you're doing a full server engine update, and that's kind of scary to a lot of people, right? If you're just kind of getting updates that are showing up inside of your updater, and you're just bringing the engine up to speed, and you're doing it very modularly, that feels safer. And I think it is safer. I think it's less, there's, lower variables, less to go wrong, especially in edge cases where, we may not be able to hit it inside of our code coverage and our testing, right? Like the less we change with each update, the more likely it is that our customers will have a, bug-free experience, a stress-free experience, and they'll just be able to hit that update button and feel good about it, and then get all their new cool stuff, get all their updates in place, their security being up to scratch all the time. I think that's going to be a big deal. I think that's one of the most exciting things about the subscription, is just this not having to worry so much about versions and things like that. Because that definitely, it makes me anxious when someone's like, oh, I'm still on 21, which is a supported version, but I want to move to 25, which is a 2-step thing, and how, what's that delta going to look like? Is anything going to break? Well, I don't think so, but like getting everyone sort of on the same page is going to be a really big deal for stability and just for developer experience too, right? Everyone will have the same tools, which is important. Oh, yes. Yeah, thank you, Charlie. Yeah, that is a topic of note. So one big deal is that we are doing a lot of removals on formerly deprecated items, and also deprecating quite a number of things. There's a link there if you want to jump down and check that out. This is likely to be the most pruning that we have done ever in an engine upgrade in the history of Cold Fusion. Like, we are going back through and removing a lot of things, some of which have been deprecated for, I don't even know, more than a decade. Yeah, there's like parameter exists. I remember using parameter exists in the 90s or something like that. Like that was, and it worked for a very long time. It was deprecated, right? You weren't recommended on using it, but we're finally clearing things like that out. But yeah, 20 years ago, that's wild. Oh God, 20 years. Oh, so long ago. But that's a good list to go through. Now, hopefully, you're not using this code currently. You're not using these deprecated features in your code, but legacy code exists. Code that's been, swept under a rug exists, that's just been happily running for a very long time. That happens, unfortunately. Not everyone keeps an eye on their code as well as they probably should. So looking over that list is going to be pretty critical for folks. And also getting your stuff running in a testing server on the current beta is highly recommended. Definitely do that. Yeah, sadly though, a lot of people never touched it, so it's one of the few things that I fear more people are using than many other things being removed. Yeah. There's a few things like that. There's some encryption stuff that may just be hidden deep inside of people's stuff. And one of the things that makes Cold Fusion an amazing product is that we've been great about backwards compatibility for a really long time. Like you could take a CFMX 7 app and drop it into CF23 and it just worked, which was awesome and great. I mean, a couple things might change, like some of the date stuff like has changed over time, but for the most part, it was backwards compatible. This change may break a lot of really, really old code if you don't go through it. So it's important. Like get in there, do some planning for refactoring. CFMX compat is being removed. So that could be a big change for some folks. It's not just change from the default. So that's it's something to look into. It's something to plan. And again, like if your code is using this stuff, I would argue that not only should you look into refactoring some of that, you should probably just look at modernizing your code, because it's probably really old. It probably is hard to maintain. You're probably having trouble hiring people who understand how to code in that particular context, right? So not a bad idea to just start, making changes, making it more object oriented, pulling it into CF script, doing all of that. Probably a good time for it, right? We're making a lot of changes. Let's all make some changes for the better. All right. Very good. Well, I think, we got like 8 minutes till we officially close this out. So I'll hang out for another 8 minutes. I want to very much thank all of the amazing engineers that went through and worked really, really super hard on getting these webinars together. Something you may or may not know is a lot of these engineers actually had physical talks that they did at CF Summit India right around the same time as they were having to do prep for these webinars. So we were putting them under a lot of pressure and a lot of strain. And in some cases, they were doing two completely separate talks for the two things. So they had to come up with stuff really, really fast. They were also staying up really late to get this stuff in there. Thank you, Bagish, for making sure that we made time in the sprints for these guys to get through their stuff. These webinars were amazing. Tons and tons of really, really useful, great information were put in there. So thank you so much. And I want to thank the community for coming in and checking them out and asking great questions and supporting us as always. Obviously Charlie, Monty, Dave Ferguson, all these guys come in here and they ask amazingly useful questions and get the conversation going. So I want to thank all of you for making this community as amazing as it is. And we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. Can't stop, won't stop. Charlie's still on the removal. Removal of get template path. Yeah. The query CFC. Yeah. Yeah, the query and the HTTP, Charlie, that's the other one. The new HTTP, which honestly I like the old version. I'm a hipster. I like the format of the old version, but it's been deprecated for so long. It's out of here. HTML edit format, a safe table. Yeah. That's out of here. The YUI stuff. YUI's out of here. It's been deprecated for a while though, folks. So if you're still using it, if you're hacking it back into place, I don't know what to tell you. We've had that out of the way for a while. Yeah. No, it's always a balance, Charlie. So I think it's important to sort of consider, like, as we grow, as the engine gets more modern, as we add more things, eventually it's not just cruft, it's weight, it's complexity, right? If you have older things that are no longer being used, that have been deprecated for years, but those libraries still need updating and testing, it just adds additional complexity. It makes our testing longer. It adds potential security, vulnerabilities that we have to test for. And so it gets to the point where, we have to kind of ask our community to move on, to move up. This is not Cold Fusion specific, right? You see this in every language. They move on, they get new features, they update things. So, but at the same time, I totally understand. Yeah, there's people with old code that there might be just one developer at that company, and they're doing whatever they can. They're holding on by the skin of their teeth just to keep things running, and they don't have the time to update 30,000 lines of code. And so, but like, we have to balance one against the other, and kind of do what's good for the community, what's good for the ecosystem, what's good for the language. And I do think modernization is the way to go, and it'll hurt a little bit, unfortunately, right? There's sometimes growth means pain, which I hate to say, but it's true, right? And I've been there. I mean, I fought like mad when the new version, when I was doing C# back in the day, when the new version of C# came out, I was mad as heck. But at the end of the day, I mean, it was a good change, and I was just comfortable in the place that I was at. So you have to sometimes get a little uncomfortable to improve. It's just a thing, right? Working out shouldn't feel that good. Yeah, no, there's some stress involved. And I mean, listen, if these changes mean that your company is in really, really big trouble, please tell us, email me, email Sharvi. Like, seriously, I'm not even joking. Like, there's potentially things that may be viable. If your company has 250 million lines of code and 5% of them have CFMX compat, please let me know, and we can talk. We can figure out, maybe there's some way forward, some way to figure that out temporarily. Very important. Like, we're not just going to fix it for good and leave it out for good for one company, but maybe we can help out. So please let me know. Yes, almost certainly. Yeah, I believe Pete, I think, did talk about his Fixinator is going to be able to go in and find these things for folks. So if you're using Fixinator, highly recommend it. It's a great product. I mean, everything from Foundio is wonderful. Highly recommend all of Pete's stuff. And then the compatibility analyzer also will be updated to identify these. I believe, yeah, I think it's going to be in the VS Code extension. Can someone let me know? Yeah, CFML code analyzer. Yeah, Nimit, are we adding the ability to detect some of the old stuff inside of the VS Code plugin?
No, so it's the part of the CF administrator itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're just keeping it in that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, my bad. I misunderstood. So yeah, it's going to just be in the CF admin, not in VS Code. So yes, Charlie, you were correct. Yeah, the one in VS Code is just for security. Right on. Cool. Yeah, maybe. I mean, we are looking to make VS Code as useful as possible, so maybe that's an ER. Who wants?
Yeah, we have already logged an ER, I think, just last week, because I want all the developers to see the features that they are using, so that it should show that whatever feature they are using, whether it is deprecated or not.
That's awesome. Yeah, that would be fantastic if you could identify that. That'd be
Right.
fantastic, actually. Yeah, I would love to see that. Something that we should note, by the way, that if you're out here coding with the help of our good friend ChatGPT, and you ask Chatty to create a CF script HTTP call for you, it has a non-zero chance of showing you the old version. So apparently, it trained on a lot more of the old version of the CFC than the new version, and so it will absolutely give you the deprecated, removed version right now, at least half the time. You actually have to ask it for a newer version, so that's something to keep in mind. That we're still going to see a little bit of that coming across the wire with people using things like Copilot and some of the AI features out there. So yeah. In fact, that happened to me when I was writing. I decided for one of the, I think, CF Summit East, sort of as an exercise, I decided to do my talk on AI by having all the code generated by AI to go hit AI, because I'm really meta that way. And it absolutely generated every HTTP connection that way. The old way. I had to ask it for the new way of doing it, and then it did it. Oh, some kind of RAG using VS Code Agent API. No, sorry. What I'm saying is that there's older stuff that happens that way. No, the HTTP is not going away, as far as I know. Nimit, that's not going away, right? But the query one is. The new query.
No, so as per the documentation, it's like all the CFCs that are available will go away.
Oh, so if you try to do new HTTP, that also is gone? I didn't realize that.
Okay.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there you go, Charlie. Yeah, it sounds like maybe it is. Let me go back through and double check that, Charlie, so that I'm not saying something that's not true. Yeah, let me double check that. Monty, could you put in an ER with some more details on that idea? Because that sounds like it would be very cool.
No, so I'll just reiterate. It's like CF script support for script-based CFCs such as query, stored proc, etc. So a query and stored proc was just an example, but all the CFCs that are there will be removed.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, maybe we like that wasn't as clear as it probably could have been in the docs. So I'll reread them and see if I can figure out a little bit more of a way to do that. So yeah, but so Monty asked, any chance of incorporating some sort of RAG using VS Code Agent API? I think that's a good idea. So he's going to put in an ER on that, which would be cool. I've definitely used some of the AI agents in VS Code with Cold Fusion, and they work pretty rad. But it'd be nice to have one that was, local only, that didn't, go out and grab stuff. So that would be cool. All right. Well, we're about 4 minutes over. If there's no more questions, I just want to thank everyone again for coming today, and thank the engineers again for all of their time doing the videos. Love all you. So happy that all of you came out for this talk and for all of the different talks that we've had over the last 2 weeks. I hope everyone has an amazing holiday season, and we'll see you in 2025. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and I'll be right back in just 1 second.